Hey, folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Friday, March 21st. That's right, we made it to another Friday, the end of a relatively slow second week of free agency for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Made a bunch of depth moves, starting with nose tackle or defensive tackle Daniel Ikuale, and brought back a bunch of guys. Pretty much standard second week of free agency fare in that regard, although there still are a good number of players on the open market that are interesting. Be examining that a little bit later on today at SteelersNow.com. So make sure you watch for that. Today, we are answering a big picture question. So we'll leave you with some thoughts here on a Friday from Perry Nardi 7605 on YouTube, who I can see here, by the way, is a subscriber to Steelers Now on YouTube, which we love and appreciate. So thank you, Perry, for that. And it is the comment on yesterday's afternoon drive where I basically, it's funny because a lot of people in the comments were saying, like, Alan, you won't ever. I agreed with everything Najee Harris said. I think I didn't, in terms of him, ripping the Steelers' offensive scheme. Like he was right. I didn't ever disagree with any of it. And I said in that I feel like the Steelers have moved on from most of the things that Najee Harris was being critical of them there. And the comment here is from Perry. Your comments about the offense is not based on success or history, but rather hope. Your analysis does not take into consideration why all those bad moves were made on the offensive side of the ball. Who made all those bad decisions? Are they still making decisions? If they are, why all the hope? It's a fair question, but it's one I think I have an answer to. The answer is it's not one person making those decisions. It's a bunch of different people making different decisions that all went badly at the same time. And one, that is unlikely to happen in general. And two, a lot of those people are not making decisions anymore. First and foremost, the general manager. Look, the decision to draft. Now, let's start with the 2021 draft. The decision to put the cart before the horse, to draft Najee Harris before the Steelers went offensive line. That came from that's the general manager. Like that's who makes that strategic draft decision. And Kevin Colbert's not the general manager anymore. And I think we saw in the end of Kevin Colbert's tenure a failure to understand positional value with the rookie contract scale and how it had really changed the way teams have to operate in the NFL draft. We saw him draft Terrell Edmonds, a strong safety, in 2018, trade up into the top 10 for an off-ball linebacker in 2019, trade his first-round pick for a safety again in 2020, and then pick Najee Harris in 2021. That is 4 straight years of non-premium positions in first-round draft picks. It's a bad idea. When I talked about that, we had a previous episode here, I believe it was on the Morning Rush, where I talked about how the change to the draft slotting system changed how teams had to operate in the draft and introduced the concept of positional value, and the Steelers never really got it. Now, Colbert drafted a quarterback in his last draft. Since then, Omar Khan has drafted offensive tackle 2 straight years. There's been a clear course correction in terms of understanding what was going wrong then and applying it to now. The Steelers are not going to draft a running back in the first round this year, even though they need one. I am 100% sure of that unless somehow Ashton Genty falls to 21. So they have learned a lesson from a mistake and are applying it to today. Okay. When Omar Khan got in, what was the first thing they made a priority when Omar Khan and Andy Weidl came in? Fix the offensive line first. Build from the trenches out. In 2021, they drafted the running back first. Then they drafted a tight end before they went to offensive line. Okay. Omar, Andy, 4 offensive linemen in the first 4 rounds of their first 2 drafts. They are doing it differently than when they made those mistakes in the first steps forward post Ben era, which really started with him signing his last contract in, it was either late January or February of 2021. So I have faith that they've moved on from those things because they're not doing them anymore. Matt Canada, awful hire as an offensive coordinator. I thought there was at least an idea there when they hired him. But again, a bad fit for a rebuilding offense. Now they have a rebuilding offense. They have a guy who was just an NFL head coach. They have a guy who's a very successful NFL offensive coordinator in Tennessee. This is a vastly different hire at offensive coordinator. You basically could not get more different than Matt Canada and Arthur Smith in terms of knowledge, experience, personality. It's they did it wrong, learned a lesson, got it right. And so yeah, that's why it's easy. You should have faith that it's gonna. I mean, they're not gonna always get everything right, but it seems like they learned the lessons from those failures in 2022. Bad quarterback class. The Steelers spent all of the 2022 offseason looking at nothing but quarterbacks. They spent the entire Senior Bowl looking at Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett, and went to pro days for guys like Desmond Ridder and Matt Corral. They were all over the quarterbacks. It was clear from January 15th the Steelers were drafting a quarterback in 2022. This year, Steelers also need a quarterback just as badly. Bad quarterback class again. What position have they been focusing on since the very start of the offseason that we should be almost sure they're going to draft in the first round? Defensive tackle. They did it wrong before, and now they're doing it right. So that's why you should have faith that they're going to continue to get it right more often than not. You're talking about an organization with a huge history of success. The best organization in the history of the NFL post-merger. Without a doubt. No question. No one in the NFL would even really argue that if you made them be honest about themselves. Okay? Most wins in the NFL in the last 10 years. Haven't had a losing season in 18. They're really good at this. Generally. They made some big mistakes in the 6 to 4 year ago range. And since then, it seems like they've learned from those mistakes. Now, if they make another mistake again, we can be fine to be critical of them. But I don't see any reason to sit here on March 21st, 2025 and assume that 50 years of success is fake, 40 years of success is fake, 30 years of success is fake, 20 years of success is fake, 10 years of success is fake, and the last 2 years of success is fake. And I really should be focused. My entire outlook about the Pittsburgh Steelers going forward should be focused solely on like 3 to 5 years of failure. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't buy it. I don't see any rational reason to have that outlook. Why would I think that? Why would I think that an organization this well run, that has had as much success as it has had in the past, when it did make some missteps and has clearly and obviously learned from those missteps, why would I just assume it's going to get it wrong in the future? That is just emotion from frustration about the status quo bleeding into analysis. There's no factual thought process behind that line of thinking. And so I'm not going to entertain it. I'm not telling you guys how to think. That's not my job. I tell you what I think. I try to say what's fair and what I think is right and real and reasonable. And I let you guys come to your own conclusions. Sometimes we're going to agree, sometimes we're going to disagree. But they've shown that they learned the correct lessons from those missteps, and they've shown big picture to be pretty good at this. So, yeah, I don't see any reason to not have optimism about the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. I just don't. So, maybe you disagree. I'm sure some of you will in the comments. That's what they're there for. Plenty more where that came from. Me and Smitty and DB. Actually, yeah, pretty sure me, Smitty, and DB. I haven't confirmed that yet, but we'll just shoot from the hip on Afternoon Drive. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube platform. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, enjoy.